kids a craft, acting, anything like that, then I have a sign-up sheet. Judith also has one that's available online. If you look in the notable news, you can click on it, go to a Google form. So just see me or Judith, and we'd love to get you back there to show the kids something really cool this summer.
Joey Cole, hospitality, but not for much longer. That's one of the things I wanted to mention. As many of you know, my husband is recovering from knee surgery and some other medical issues. At any rate, at the end of this month, Maryland and I are going to need to step down as hospitality co-chairs. So we really need somebody to step up. And I know that that's difficult, and nobody wants to, be responsible every week, but there are a lot of people that do help out. It's just a question of getting people here. So if there's any way that you can help out, or that you feel that you can take this on, we would so appreciate somebody stepping up for that. And secondly, on the 21st, which is our work day, that's the third Saturday, we will be cleaning out the hospitality closet. And so that's a really good introduction on what we have and what we'll need and that sort of thing. So if you can possibly make that and get involved in that way, we'd sure appreciate it. We'd like to see you there. Thank you.
Hip hip hooray.
Yes, and Maryland too. Yeah. Speaking of asking for volunteers, Margie from membership, we need greeters. Thanks to Jill Metz for a cover in May, yay Jill, and Joey with all that she's busy with will be covering July. So June is open. There's a sign-up sheet right through here to the left on the bulletin board. So if you can take a day in June, that would be great. And then this has nothing to do with hospitality or membership or anything, but this looks like a rotten ball. This is a black sapote. It's one of the last ones off of our tree. So if you're interested in tropical fruit and want to take a taste, even though it looks rotten, this is when they're ready to be eaten. So afterwards, come on back and try a taste. They're real interesting.
John Mowbray on behalf of Facilities and Grounds. First off, happy Mother's Day, all the mothers. Also, kind of building on what Joey was saying, the 21st is the next work day. So the third Saturday of every month is work day, about 9 to 12, as much time as you can donate, whether it's 30 minutes, 3 hours, whatever, please turn out. And one more plea for electricians. We need to get a box going out there, so anybody with those skills, please help us out. Thank you.
Good morning, Martha Kirby here to remind everyone that, well, maybe remind and maybe inform some. Next week, Sunday, is our annual meeting, the business of the congregation. It's the most important meeting. We have them quarterly, but this is the annual meeting. We'll be welcoming new members to our board. With your approval, we'll be approving the budget for next year. We'll be commissioning our Committee on Shared Ministry, which is new for us since we have never had a minister before. And lots of good stuff. We're going to try to be efficient and not keep you for 3 hours. We try to keep it under an hour, but there's a lot going on. So please come and be part of that. We definitely need a quorum. And you can see how everything has turned out for this year and what we're planning for next year, because we've got a whole year with a new minister for the first time. So there's a lot that we can do. So let's all get excited about a new year and hopefully coming out of COVID as I put my mask back on.
Thank you, Martha. And I also wanted to add, Joey was mentioning the hospitality committee, but we are also looking for other volunteers in the area of personnel and treasurer. I bet Sarah's still going to be our treasurer, but looking for a co-treasurer or other people. So if you have any of those skills or want to learn those skills, you don't have to necessarily come into the position with the skill, but you can learn it. So we'll go over that more at the annual meeting next week, but just keep that in the back of your minds. All right, so my opening words today, just going to give you a little preface to that. I often tell this story to people, so if you've heard it before, just listen to it again. Sorry about that, but some people are new. So I decided to become a Unitarian Universalist on Mother's Day 2002. And that was after listening to the minister at church in Syracuse, where I had started going off and on because I really had nothing better to do on Sunday. And I thought, let me try this place out. And she spoke to all forms of motherhood. And at the time, I was struggling to get pregnant. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to be a mother, and it just spoke to me. So when I was looking for words today, I found words that sounded very similar to what that minister had to say. These are from, I'm sorry if I'm not saying her name right, but Linda Susan Ulrich. They are a settled minister at Unitarian Society of New Haven, Connecticut. For all the mothers and mother figures, the grandmothers, aunts, and extended family members who mother, the soon-to-be mothers, that wish they were mothers, that never wanted to be mothers, the it's complicated mothers, the birth mothers, foster mothers, adoptive mothers, stepmothers, the used-to-be dad mothers and more than one mom mothers, the single mothers, separated mothers, stay-at-home mothers, unhoused mothers, the grieving mothers, those who grieve their mothers, and those whose grief is complex. For all the communities that mother, and for all who depend on the great mother, you are held and beloved. I think we are going to light our chalice next, and our chalice lighter today is Chase. Chase is 11 years old. He goes by he, him pronouns, and he's super excited because he's getting a haircut. Each week we like to affirm why it is that we come together, so please say the words on the screen with me. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. I'd like to take opportunity to welcome any guests that we may have here for the first time, whether it be in person or online. You will find out that we are an eclectic congregation. We have a variety of speakers. We have a minister, a called minister who's here some of the weeks, but other weeks we have other visiting ministers. We have people who come from our universities, people who work in political action agencies, things like that. So, and then often we have speakers just from our own congregants. So we welcome you to come back several times, test us out, try the coffee, have some tea afterward, get to know us. We're a pretty fun group. If you signed the book when you came in, you'll be getting the newsletter and find out what's going on. So welcome everybody. And back in the pre-COVID days, you're allowed to shake hands and hug. We will get back to that one of these days. Now we'd like to share the joys and concerns that we have within the congregation. This is an opportunity to share the important things that are going on in your life. So please feel free to come to the microphone here. If you would like me to bring the microphone to you at your chair, I'm happy to do that. So feel free.
John Mowbray again with a couple of joys and one concern. One joy is playing again with some phenomenal physicians. Fantastic. Thank you so much for participating. Other joy is my son Jake graduated Friday. Concern is he leaves tomorrow. So, welcome.
Hi, everybody. David McElroy. a joy is that I'm going to a reunion on the 23rd of this month for 52 years of a USO tour that I've gotten people to actually come to in Oklahoma City. Marilyn and I were, this is a concern, Marilyn and I were going to go on a Route 66 trip, but concern is that her ankle is really bad. We don't know if it's broken or what it is. So keep her joy of her ankle in your heart. We'd appreciate that. And so happy to see the Packhams here today.
I want to tag on to John Mowbray. I'm from Seattle. So, John, when you go to Seattle, if you need somebody to go with you, to show you the sights, to take you around, happy to do it. You would pay. My daughter, I think I mentioned this one time when I was up here, my daughter and her husband have taken in a 3-year-old nephew from the other side of the family. And they just got word this past week that the mother is going to give them full custody. So it's good news, and it's turned their world upside down news. The child has lots of issues after 3 years of a pretty rough life. So, everybody send all kinds of positive energy that way.
I'm Paula. I just got a call a couple of days ago from one of my nieces, and I haven't talked to her, well, not really talked to her since long before COVID, because, you know, she's a mom and all this other stuff. She's busy with her life, and I'm busy with mine. She sobered up about 10 years ago, and she's really been working on herself. And of course, as you work on these things, you peel the onion back. And anybody here peel onions? You know a little bit about the crying that goes with that? Okay, so she's going to come and see me tomorrow. We're going to spend the day together peeling her onions. And she wants to know more about our family history so that she can understand a little bit more about her dad, who is already deceased. And so she wants her dad, my brother. And so I'll be spending the day with her tomorrow, and I'm so looking forward to it. She's an amazing girl.
Hi, I'm Chloe McElroy. I just wanted to, my joy is just all the mothers in the room. Happy Mother's Day. A big shout out to my mom. I have a wonderful mother, and I'm very grateful that she's in my life. I do also want to mention the concern about her ankle. It is the left ankle. I think he didn't mention that. So just all the good vibes. She's been very sad this month over the time that her ankle has been messed up, because she is not someone who likes to be told that she has to sit still. She likes to be able to go where she wants to go, wants to have her freedom, and she feels like a caged little bird right now. So if you guys can send out some good energy for her ankle, that would be wonderful. My second joy is that my dad prematurely said that I got cast in a show. I did actually get cast in the show, but I didn't want to say I got cast in the show until I was really cast in the show. It is called The B is for Bitch, and it actually is a show about basically the LGBTQ plus community and trying to find out where you belong in it, and what each letter is supposed to mean, and if you're allowed to switch letters, and it's a really interesting show, and I'm very excited to do it. I do have a concern that I went to the dentist and I have 10 cavities that are going to cost $2,000 to fill. So send me good juju about that I easily find the money for filling my cavities and that it's not terrifying. Anyways, thank you.
Hi, Melanie Irie. So my joy is after more than a year and a half of back pain, I finally have a diagnosis, and hopefully our treatment plan will come next month when I meet with another doctor. So very happy about that.
Hi, Aaron Bray. Two quick joys. Nothing in the world gives me more pleasure than playing music. So, being able to do this here, it's a real joy for me. And then the second joy, my brother's family is vacationing in Florida in a couple days, and I'll get to see my two little nephews who I haven't seen in over a year. So.
I have a joy from online. Before I read that, I want to share another one. When I go to General Assembly, which is in June, we're flying into Seattle, and so I was able to score a reservation at the restaurant that Jake is going to work at, and John already told him, so we will be there at 5 o'clock on the 22nd, and hopefully we'll get to see Jake. He'll be able to peek out of the kitchen and see that we're there, so that's just fun. Anyway. A joy from our online group, Ethan. We all know Ethan, Karen Cowden's son and Kathy Cowden's grandson. He would like to share his joy of earning the money from chores to buy a 50th anniversary Disney semi-truck. And Karen is joyous that she got a few days at New Smyrna Beach and spent yesterday at Typhoon Lagoon with families from Ethan's school. Just floated away any stress all day and walked a lot. Sounds like we should all join Typhoon Lagoon. I remember where that is.
I was going to just add that I have both a concern and a joy. My mother's brother's wife, they were divorced for a long time, passed away this week. So she was 86, but she had a really nice long life. And my joy is that I have at least 2 out of my 3 girls here today, so I'm excited.
Hi, Marilyn Furmanek. I won't mention my ankle again. But actually, my joy is I just finished a wonderful play downtown at Mad Cow Theater, and several of you saw it. Some I didn't know were coming, and then it's like, there's Martha and Judith in the front row. I'm glad I didn't know they were sitting there. But it was a wonderful play. And I think something that came out of it that was doubly nice is the cast just got along really beautifully, which sometimes doesn't always happen, and I've had real challenges with some cast members in the past. We just bonded so beautifully, had so much fun, and I was able to kind of mentor a new actor who was his 3rd play, and he turned out to be really incredible. And his mother was just effusive towards me about how much I'd helped him. I didn't know I had, but we did have a wonderful relationship, and it was a really great feeling to feel I could be helpful to this young man.
Let's just take a moment to silently think about those concerns that we've heard today and lift up the joys as well. Amen. Next we will have our Time for All Ages. Judith Stein-Farrell, our Director of Religious Education, will lead us in that endeavor.
So, it's Mother's Day. Nobody knew that. We're going to talk about the fact that Mother's Day is an act of creation. Mothership is an act of creation. Being a child is an act of having been created. And we're going to talk about how we create things this morning. Who remembers English class and and maybe journalism class and the 5 W's at 5 W's? 5 W's and an H, right? Anybody want to yell them out? Lindsay, again. Right. Yeah. What's the most important one? Well done. Why do we create things, everybody? We can. Why else? Joy. Fantastic. Necessity. Boredom, did we say? Who said that, by the way? Uh-huh. What's the next most important one? Who, what, where, how? Who? Can't see it? All right, we'll just start on a fresh page.
I need a dark marker. I need the dark marker.
Who does creates in this world? We all do. Where do we do creation? Everywhere. So just for everybody that didn't hear those little notes, Lindsay said everywhere in all times, right? Or was that not Lindsay who said that? Lorraine said it. And in all, everywhere in all things, did you say? Or in all places? Yep. And then I heard, it sounds like a Bible verse. Which takes me to when, right? I should have brought one of you up to do the writing.
I can help.
That's all right. We'll stick to the blue pen too. When in all circumstances. Okay, I'm moving. Who, what? So we've got who, why, when. Any other whens out there? Say it again. The past, in the past. In the future. Doing is a now thing. We're creating right now. Got it. Who, when, why, where, where. Do we have where? Oh, we have where. Yes, we have where. What? You can flip it over and start over. Sorry, what? I'm bossy. Okay. I'm just glad to have Lorraine helping. What? What do we create? This. Community.
Children.
Children. Art. Music. Theater. Say that again, drama? Paula said drama. Good old Southern word for drama. No? No?
Theater.
So Paula explained drama is what you get in theater, and drama is what happens in life, right? Yes. Yeah, okay. The tension seeking. All right, let's move to how. Do we have all of them then? Who, what, where, why, when. Now we did that. How. How do we create? Do we create on purpose? No. by accident. How else? Say that again. Do we create perfectly? Yeah. How do we feel when we create? How we feel alive, good and bad, peaceful, satisfied, scared, frustrated. Scared. Okay, thanks. Anything else we want to add about what creation is for us? Calming, can be. And common, C-O-M-M-O-N, I believe. Am I right? All the English, y'all know who you are, and y'all know who you are out there who like to fix my writing, which is good, by the way. It's okay. I know that I mess it up on a regular basis. So we're all part of this creation experience. And we're all part of being created, and all our imperfections, and all our places. And therefore, we're all part of this motherhood experience, and all part of this, being part of this motherhood ship that we're part of. Thank you. Thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you, Judith. I have actually one more joy and concern that came in online that I wanted to mention before we move on to the next part of our service. This is from Tavi Chen. Tavi's a relatively new member to our congregation, and she writes, I would like to share my deep and sincere appreciation for Reverend Tracy for her spiritual, physical, and emotional support during a very scary but necessary transition this past Tuesday out of my family home into a new apartment and a new start. My children and I are safe, thanks in part to her help. I would also like to thank Paula and the many others who have supported me through our open conversations leading up to this move. I will always remember this Mother's Day as the first time I felt truly supported and cherished just by simply being who I truly am. Thank you. Okay, now that I'm like on the verge of tears, we're going to have our interlude and offering. So our interlude and our offering supports the well-being of this church. We also give 40% of our loose offering to Harbor House, which, as you know, supports survivors of domestic violence. So please give generously as our helpers pass the basket. In the meantime, we will have our choir/band singing for the first time live in a very long time. Okay, remind me of it, how it goes.
We love you and bless you.
Let's just go for it. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. I have a pleasure of introducing our speaker today, Samara Powers. She is a parent, a poet. She's also a seminary student at Meadville Lombard Theological School and is extremely active in the UU Fellowship of Gainesville. Go Gators. She lives in an intentional micro-community in Gainesville, and she's here to speak to us today about fierce nurturing. So, Samara, there you are. Welcome.
Good morning. Give me just a moment to combobulate myself here. Just as a quick mention, if the Karen Cowden who is watching online is the one I went to high school with, hey. For those who are just listening in, I am a tall, middle-aged white woman with long, dark blonde hair gathered in a messy bun on the top of my head, held with knitting needles. I have a somewhat broad-shouldered, potentially imposing presence, but my younger daughter just thinks I'm squishy. I'm wearing all loose, soft, dark clothing and my big, stompy preacher boots with the galaxy design painted on them. If you happen to notice that I was maybe kind of slouching in the front row, it wasn't from lack of interest or respect, it was because I am extremely aware of the height that I carry, which is augmented by the hair, so just to bear with me here. I want to thank Anne for those words that you said this morning from Reverend Ulrich. Is it Reverend Ulrich? Yeah. Beloveds, I tried. I tried so hard to pull together a message that would somehow make sense of what's happening in our world. I opened my heart and mind to the world for inspiration, and I sought in my own heart for some kernel of meaning that would simultaneously galvanize you to hope and action, while honoring and respecting the various spaces that you're in. I wanted to hand you a beautiful, dreamy castle, but all I found were piles of bricks and mortar. So let's begin. The first brick. The word nurture by itself may elicit associations of gentleness, of peace and safety, all wonderful and valuable in and of themselves. But what if our world is hurting and in crisis and in need of fiercer love? I think fierce nurture is an unequivocal commitment to liberation. It's about doing what is necessary in the moment, with all the grittiness and messiness that can go along with that. But fierce nurture is also durable. It doesn't quit. It hangs around to make sure things turned out okay. Fierce nurture is about kindness, knowing that kindness isn't always neat or pretty or easy. I do not think it's numbness or passivity, but I don't think it's rage either, although rage is understandable. Given the events of this past week, the objectification of the female-bodied, like the objectification of Black people and other folks of color, like the mass slaughter of indigenous peoples throughout history, these are not issues that have ever been truly resolved. It's in the system. But how do we fight a system? By destabilizing it. Systemic oppression is insidious. It insinuates itself into our judicial system as easily as it does our nervous system. Destabilizing means you do that wherever you can, including within yourself. Another brick. There has been some fierce nurturing happening in my seminary education so far. One class taught by the unflappable Reverend Julie Taylor, who has my undying respect. I must thank and credit them for these several nuggets that I am adapting for the sake of our theme of fierce nurture today. Fierce nurture is bigger than simple caring, and it can be a part of anything and everything that we do, from how we act in boardrooms, to classrooms, to courtrooms. Fierce nurture is respectful, but not neutral. It is absolutely based on a system of values. As we come into situations requiring fierce nurture, there are no blank slates. We all have contexts and passions and prejudices that inform who we are and what we do and how we act. Oppression is a spiritual disease, which means it has a spiritual cure. And finally, fierce nurture is anchored in hope. Self-reflection is a big piece of that process. Figuring yourself out and then putting yourself out there, it's critical to the process. This draft from Justice Alito. It's written basing an argument on the values of a man, a jurist, who lived in the 1600s and had women executed for witchcraft, and who was the originator of the argument called contractual consent that eliminated any objections to anyone who wished to file rape charges against their own spouse. Does anybody happen to know when spousal rape was totally outlawed in the US? Yeah, 1993. It took 330 years to get it off the books. And there are these 3 centuries that Justice Alito and others who agree with his values that want to erase female presence, female-bodied presence, uterine presence, to the detriment of anyone and to their violence, right? Not to mention the additional vulnerability held by Black, queer, and trans women who unfailingly receive the brunt of such violence. Now, we're here in this room together, and it's Mother's Day, and we want to feel joy, but it's important also to recognize the rage and the grief that such events carry with them. And rage feels powerful in the moment, and it may even get some stuff done that needs to be done, but it's not a long-term solution, and it's not a sustainable system. And I see this news coming down the pike, right, from Justice Alito, and I can't even raise a gram of cortisol about it because it's not new news. It's just another alarm in a series of alarms that have been waking up some of us, while some others of us hit the snooze button again, causing some other people to rage, despair, go numb. These are all valid responses. And there's no right or wrong answer. But as people committed to liberation, we get to decide whether these actions suit our values. Another brick. I keep coming back to that last nugget about hope because I have to. If you're doing the destabilizing work of liberation, then hope is a much better anchor than rage or numbness. Self-reflection, right? One of the fiercest acts of kindness and nurture that you can do is to question your own comfortable assumptions. Critical, courageous self-reflection. When you know yourself, this is when you can be the most useful to others. And being a parent or an elder caregiver or a teacher or a hospice worker, any of these intimate relationship roles can crack open your notions of yourself, and it sure can clear away some of the debris of self-delusion. It's also hard not to feel a certain way when you're in these vulnerable, intimate, caring relationships. Ask anyone parenting a teen. But that's the beauty of it. These intimate relationships make it impossible for us to ignore our compassion and our interconnectedness. And to be fair, maybe it also causes you to realize where there should be some healthy boundaries too. It's all good work. So why don't we often have these feelings of compassion, the immediacy of those feelings of compassion, for other people who live outside our building or outside our cultural context? Joanna Macy and Chris Johnstone have co-authored an amazing book called Act of Hope. Has anybody read that? I highly recommend it. In this book, they talk about feeling as an essential aspect of fierce nurture, although the phrase fierce nurture is not in the book. But that's what we're calling it for today, right? Here's a quote. If we felt the pain of loss each time an ecosystem was destroyed, a species wiped out, or a child killed by war or starvation, we wouldn't be able to continue living the way we do. It would tear us apart inside. The losses continue because they aren't registered. They aren't marked. They aren't seen as important. By choosing to honor the pain of loss rather than discounting it, we break the spell that numbs us to the dismantling of our world. End quote. Fierce nurture, then, emerges from an impressionable soul. Literally a soul that has been pressed upon. The pressure that happens when you allow yourself to feel the teeth marks of brutality and injustice in a way that impels you to engage, to lament, to protest, to share sorrow, to speak truth to power, to give voice and holy direction to your rage, to draw the line in the sand and say, not my people, and you mean all people. Another brick. Numbness and rage may deceive us and distract us from doing the essential, destabilizing, and probably painful and less glorious work of healing. But there's an important piece of advice that I got from an acupuncturist, and they said, chew your raw food until it's warm. All right, I hear a chuckle out there. That's the same reaction that I had. But this is about helping your body to digest tough material. It also applies to the work of liberation. When you're feeling the most urgent is when it is the most important to get grounded, to slow down. Adrienne Marie Brown, pleasure activist, author, and speaker, wrote another book that I highly recommend called Emergent Strategy. And in this book, she talks about moving at the speed of trust. Now, I want to be explicit here that I am not suggesting that marginalized people should be patient and wait. As so many blacks were told, waiting to wait for their rights to be recognized, I am not suggesting that. I am suggesting that if we in dominant culture, and I believe most of us here are in dominant culture, essentially, everybody's got aspects of dominance and target in their identity, right? But if we in dominant culture want to dismantle oppression by engaging in fierce nurture, we have to recognize that this is not new news, like I mentioned before. right? A frantic response is not helpful here. Be measured, be firm, be persistent, be active, but recognize that true healing is a long game, and that the entrenched nature of oppressive culture means we need to be willing to be relentless and thorough, remembering we may never know the scope of the good that we did, but our descendants will surely know what we did or did not do. Another brick. If you want something to change, you've got to do something different. I have some thoughts on ways to do this that I offer for you today. It's all about organizing, right? That image comes to mind of, maybe some of you have seen this or remember this, it's been around for a little while. It's the school of small fish that have arranged themselves into the shape of a very large predator fish that is in turn going after the predator that is bigger than any one of them individually, but much smaller than the collective, right? One of the ways that we might do that is organizing among yourselves, right? Organize among yourselves, but then reach out to other organizations here in Orlando who are doing the good work that you want to do. It could be a human rights organization or a campus ministry or organization of some kind. People here are already doing the work, right? Lend your force to theirs. Collectively support their leadership. You know, we have resources among us, right? Share them. Maybe it's rides to protests or help with communications, or it could be anything, right? You get to assess what your resources are and how you want to share them. Or maybe it's collaborating with other UU congregations. Are other UU congregations in the area doing good work that you can latch onto and support? Or maybe you are that congregation. Do you have a really excellent program? Reach out to the others. It's a captive audience, right? Fierce nurture is about doing what is necessary. Fierce nurture is about sticking around, making sure everyone is okay. Another brick. You each carry within you the seeds of fierce love that wants nurturing. Will you help it grow? Will you organize? Will you band together in a raucous and relentless celebration of the good that becomes a clamor and song of justice? As Mary Oliver put it, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? I wanted to bring you something today that would make sense of the world, that would comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Right? We were just talking about that. And as that famous saying goes, I wanted to offer you a surefire formula for resilient justice and for healing, and I imagined it as this beautiful dream castle. But it turns out I had something better. We have bricks. We have mortar. Let's begin. Now, I am told that this congregation has a Q&A period after, and I want to say I'm so excited about that because questions are my favorite ministry. However, I would like to invite you to do something a little different, and it's just an invitation, and it's all honor system, so y'all get to decide what and how you do it, but I'm imagining there's a few of you that are accustomed to speaking first, or that have a lot to offer and a lot to say and are vocal about it, and that's good. And I would just like to invite those people in the room to just 30 or 45 seconds or so, breathe and be sentinels in the room, looking around to see if there's somebody who doesn't always speak up that might like a chance to go. And we can just use that 30 to 45 seconds to just hold compassionate silence in the room and presence with each other. And then I invite anyone up to speak who would like to.
I'll bring the mic to you.
I'm not one who always speaks, but sometimes.
It's okay if you are, by the way.
I really enjoyed what you said, and when you kept talking about the bricks, I don't know why in my mind I kept hearing Pink Floyd's "Another Brick in the Wall," and I thought, that's a way to build. I mean, I love that song, so and I appreciate what you said.
Thank you. That's a fantastic analogy too, right? Just one at a time, right? Just another brick. And as part of the idea of information and bricks being similar in that they're inherently neutral, but it's how you use them that counts, right? Thank you for that.
You look at a pile of bricks, and different people looking at it will see different opportunities, and you can pick them up and build something, maybe a bridge, maybe a wall, or you may pick them up and just hurl them. So a little judgment and thought needs to go into this before it's begun.
Yeah, that's so critical, and especially because sometimes those bricks get hurled by people who are well-intentioned. They're well-intentioned, but they're traumatized, right? In seminary, we talk about you can't preach from your wounds. You have to preach from your scars, right? Do a little healing. It helps everybody. Yeah.
You spoke a lot about the bricks, very important. Could you share some thoughts about what the mortar might be?
You're the mortar.
Tell me more.
Your actions. So throughout the speech, I alluded to the things we can do. It's things that make their impression on us, and then things that we can do. It's those things that we do, whether that healing is inner work, or whether that healing is liberative community work. That is really, it's really the mortar, right? How you take these bricks and how you put them together. Love, that's a wonderful one.
I just want to say I absolutely loved your talk, and thank you so much for coming here. I just want to build a little bit on what Paula was saying about bricks, and you can build or you can show them. And going back to one thing you said, we're looking to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And I am all for comforting the afflicted, but the problem with afflicting the comfortable is you don't know who's comfortable and who's not. You can look around the room and you can think, oh, they're comfortable, they're in the dominant culture, but you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know what's inside somebody.
That's
so I just want to put
absolutely.
that out there.
Oh, sorry, absolutely true. And that's why it's really honor system, right? It's like if you notice that anything that I said made you uncomfortable in a way that was kind of new, it's really different than, like, I'm not looking to re-traumatize anybody, and I spoke about some really challenging things. And so in that respect, I think that foundation of love, and if we come together in a community that seeks to value and trust each other, then we can flex with those feelings that come up, whether or not one is comfortable or afflicted, right? It's like an adaptogen, right? Isn't ashwagandha an adaptogen? I'm just showing my hippie influences here. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen, and for those who don't know, adaptogenic inputs help decrease excess levels or increase deficient levels of whatever it is that you're taking. So it has a balancing effect whether you're too high or too low in something. And so that's the essential piece, right? It has to be flexible enough, and then the love is there to keep it together. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that.
Hi, Samara.
Hi.
I have one, you talked about ways to help, and you talked about either if you have a group that is ready to do something, And you also talked about joining in as part of that smaller group of fish, creating a bigger source. And I think, could you speak more about allowing those who are already ready to do the work to help them to
Yeah, I think I do have some things to say about that. Thank you for mentioning. One of my personal calls to ministry is to address the really, really painful and sort of seemingly intransigent religious and political divides that exist in our country, right? And so the something different that I am looking to do is to build a ministry in which small groups of people who have a little bit of training and some really solid inner stability to go into conservative organizations and help them with whatever justice-oriented actions that they might have that align with our own values, right? One of my responsibilities as a first-year seminarian was to go volunteer for every week, for the year. And the organization I picked was not a church in itself, but frequently funded by and staffed by people with conservative religious values. And I overheard some things that were painful and that required me to stay committed to the long game of healing, right? And knowing that my intention is to support the work that they're doing, which was supporting the unhoused and providing dental care for people who have no money. And they're doing a lot of really amazing work, right? And so doing that work, in a sense, it really means flipping a switch inside you. Whether it's doing that particular kind of work or just reaching out to another organization, it takes a little bit of gumption and a little bit of leadership and a little bit of willingness to do it messy if needed, because it's not going to be perfect if it's something new, especially I hope it's not perfect, right? Resisting perfectionism is a way of dismantling white supremacy culture within yourself. And so I encourage you that if you feel the kernel of desire inside of you, just trust it. Trust it and have faith that that's there for a reason. And it's like a little call to purpose, right? So y'all know Orlando better than I do. Y'all know the local region and the people who are doing the work. Maybe it just means starting with a few phone calls. And I like to say, it's not super liberated language, but I like to say playing dumb. I call and ask a bunch of questions. I'm like, look, I really want to do this, but I don't know how to do this. Can we collaborate, or how can we help you? What are you doing? And here's what we're doing. And it's like opening those lines of communication, right? And just like a phone call, and be prepared to fail, which stands for first attempt in learning, right? Go. I'll be cheering you the whole time. We good? Does everybody have it? We're all done? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, yes. So I'll provide a little backstory and context. In seminary, at least in UU Seminary at Meadville Lombard, we do a lot of really deep intercultural education work. And because it's a UU seminary, there's a lot of attention paid to power dynamics, systems of oppression, and how we dismantle those. Perfectionism, that is frequently felt by white people, not universally, and I'm not speaking about all white people, obviously, but generally speaking, right? Like opportunity hoarding is an affliction of white peoples being damaged by white supremacy culture. And so whenever we feel, and for me, it sometimes shows up as anxiety, right? Or I have to say the perfect words, or I have to spend all this time making sure it's just right. That's trauma. That's trauma rearing its, persistent head. Yeah. So counteracting perfectionism might look like a little bit of surrender. It might feel very uncomfortable, and that's good. That means you're doing it. You're doing the work, right? So, and that's why I say that liberation starts here, right? Knowing yourself, that's critical self-reflection piece of understanding, well, how am I benefiting or contributing to systems of oppression? And then every little bit counts, because it's edging, it's like the long arc of justice, like the beautiful quote that Martin Luther King has also used. The arc of justice is long, or the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Thank you. As long as we push it, yeah. So showing up, that's a part of it. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yeah, for sure. Thank you all so much.
We're going to extinguish our chalice, and I invite you to say the words on the screen. And we will have our closing music. Oh, and I guess it's inclusion. Oh, that's right, you told me this. That's right. Thank you, Janet.
Yes, so now we all get to sing. We get to sing our Fears and Nurture. Many of us know this hymn, but for those of you who don't or just want to follow along, see the music, it's hymn number 170, and the hymnal should be not too far away from you. And we're doing verses 1, 2, 4, and 6. And I just want to thank both Erin and Sunny for helping out here.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing for our lives.
It's just so nice to have live music again. My closing words are from singer and, well, actually actress Ashley Judd. As you may know, Ashley lost her mother last weekend, and she had a very nice, lots of lovely words to say about her mother. She says, "This Mother's Day, I choose to honor my mama for the person she was, a mother, and so much more. And I ask you to honor your own mother, if you are lucky enough to have one. Honor her for more than her labor and sacrifice. Honor her for her talents and dreams. Honor her by demanding a world where motherhood, everywhere, is safe, healthy, and chosen." And with that, I think we are concluding. Please join us for coffee, tea, lemonade, and conversation, and happy Mother's Day.